Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm Colleen Lockoff.
And I'm Meredith Lockoff.
And welcome to Spiritual Sisters with Sass, the podcast where two sisters with a passion for spirituality and a touch of sass come together to explore the exciting world of self-improvement.
That's right, Colleen. We embarked on this incredible journey together, diving into different self-improvement techniques, yoga practices, and a whole array of life experiences.
Yeah, and through it all, we've managed to create lives that are abundant, happy, and constantly evolving. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Meredith?
You bet, sis. We've got two very different perspectives on life, but that's what makes this podcast so special. I'm all about diving in head first into life's adventures and embracing every challenge with a bit of sass. While Colleen here, she's got her own unique approach.
Yep, that's me. And I'm all about the yoga, mindfulness, and finding my zen. And together we make the perfect balance.
So whether you're looking for some wisdom, a few laughs, or just some heartfelt stories, you're in the right place. We're here to share our personal experiences and insights with you, all while exploring the wild and diverse world of self-improvement.
So grab your headphones and get ready for a fantastic journey with us. Spiritual Sisters with Sass is here to uplift, inspire, and keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in, lovely listeners. Let's dive in.
Spirit and sass. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. So welcome to this week's episode of Spiritual Sisters with Sass. This week, actually, in the coming weeks, we want you guys to really tune in because we're going to have a couple of special guests, and we're super excited about those guests that are going to come on. But this week, we are continuing our conversation from last week about emotional intelligence. I'm going to let Lynn take it away with, she's currently sharing, which is why you're seeing this face. I'm going to let her take it away, and then we're going to start this conversation. So Lynn, please.
Yes. All right. So last week we ended with like, okay, you go where you look. And I'm like, oh, mic drop. This is perfect place to start. So I was 29. It was several years ago, and I decided I wanted to ride motorcycles. So I went and took a.
I'm calling you out. You were not 29 because I was 25 when I took mine, and I was. You and I had our learners at the same time, so you were 26.
I couldn't get my license when I was with Ron. He wouldn't let me. So It was when I was single, and we ended our relationship when I was 29 years old.
I don't think so, but okay. We'll discuss this later.
That's the thing about being sisters, right? But yeah. Okay. So that being said, I signed up for a program for taking my motorcycle license because I heard it was like super easy. I didn't have a motorcycle, and I had the opportunity to like learn on a motorcycle. So I sign up, and we have this one night of like written, and then we have, all the rest of is experience. And I remember the greatest lesson I learned that day with the written was you go where you look. And he says, well, to tell you more about this, you're going around a corner and there's some pea gravel there and you start to slip. What do most people do? They look at the corner, and then the cliff at the end of the corner that they're going to ride off of. That's exactly where you're going to go. Whereas if you look at where the corner goes around where you want to go, that's where you will go. So you go where you look, and that's it. And I had so many times in my life that thinking actually came up as I was about to crash. And I didn't, because I kept my focus on going where I look, or like looking where I want to go, which is what happened.
Mm-hmm. And so today, and Yeah,
if
go
we
ahead.
add that to like our life, right? One of the things that I know about taking therapy or being involved in therapy, especially like before more modern times, is the fact that we head in and start to look at all of the things that have happened to us in our lives, right? And we spend so much of our therapy sessions looking at all the things that have done wrong to us, all the places that we've been, where we came from, why, blah, 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 blah. And if you're constantly looking in your future, what, or in your past, what do you think you're going to create for your future? If you're constantly looking at how your mom hurt you, if you're constantly looking at how you've been wronged, what do you think you're creating? You go exactly where you look, which is something that I say with coaching on a regular basis is, what do you want? That's what we look at. And whenever we head into a speed bump, that's when we look back to notice, why do we have the speed bump? And then to keep going forward. So that's my little spiel.
I love this. And so I'm going to say that it applied to me in dirt biking in many, many examples. You know, we're going tight around a corner and I look at the tree, guess where my handlebar went? And then guess where I went? So I feel that, not just that, but again, I told you guys that I would share with you as I learned from my coach. And Lynn and I have been talking a lot about my coach. And within that, he has this thing, and he said to me, if you live in Montana and you're moving to Texas, what do you need to know? And everyone's like, directions. And I was like, I don't even know. Like, what do I need to know? And he's like, anything about Texas. And I'm like, okay, fair. And he's like, but we're not just talking about anything about Texas. You know everything about Montana. You've lived in Montana. You know that you're leaving Montana. So you need to actually leave Montana by leaving Montana. So your first step is to let go of that. Now, to move to Texas, I need to focus on moving forward to Texas. And what's in Texas? Well, we don't even know. So that's where you need to start is, well, what do I want to create as my future, first of all? What does that person look like? How does she talk? How does she feel? What does her day look like? Give yourself an idea of what you need to focus on moving forward. And now I'm going to give you guys kind of an example of one that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, I did this. So my ex and I broke up about 4 years ago. Okay. We obviously are not meant to be together. And then he gets this girlfriend, and Lynn says to me, he's drinking. And I was like, dude, the guy hasn't drank in 17 years. He's not drinking now. Within days of her saying that, he ended up sending one of our friends a message saying, oh, I've been on this trip and it's been boozy. 17 years. He's an alcoholic. He doesn't do drugs or drink because he has this past. 17 years. He starts dating this girl and now he's doing drugs. He's drinking. He's making bad decisions left, right, and center. He suddenly doesn't want to work, which one of the reasons we broke up is because he kept telling me, just give me 5 years. Just give me 5 years. I just need to work for 5 more years. Now he's got his business at this level and now he's like falling on his head. And it's bothering me in a lot of ways. And I kept asking myself, why does this even bother me? Like, this has nothing to do with me. And he's not who I want. He is Montana. And I left Montana 4 years ago. Why am I still focused on fucking Montana? And so I was sitting there and I had done some of my coach's videos, and I was actually cooking dinner, and I was like, why am I so focused on him and what he's doing? I don't care. I literally don't care. So why am I so focused on this? That led me to ask myself, what could I do to stop this? And why am I so focused on it? Obviously. And all of a sudden I got hit with this like smack of intuition. You need to go back to where you started. So in 2005, when I started this, I started The Secret, and it said, where your focus goes, grows. And I was like, why am I growing his shit? It doesn't benefit me. And I immediately went into, I like I said, I got this hit from the universe, and it was like, go back to where you started, replace a negative thought with a positive thought. And any thought I was having about him was a negative thought. So I immediately, and it wasn't even me, I swear, the universe smacks me in the face and tells me, this is what you got to do. And so it came to me and was like, Meredith, you need to thank the universe for bringing you the love of your life. And then at the same time I heard, so my morning, and every time I think about that guy at all, I instantly go to, thank you, universe, for bringing me the love of my life, and 200 people a month to help with laser quit. Because those are the two main focuses that I have in my life right now. Those are the two goals that are the things I want to accomplish in my life. Not want to, the things I know I'm going to accomplish in my life, the things I am accomplishing in my life. And as I'm saying these things, you guys, I'm excited because Lynn and I already talked about this. We're going to do an entire podcast on language because she has done the, what is it? NLP? Neuro-linguistic programming. She's done it all. So we're going to have a whole conversation around it. I've learned quite a bit about it from her. And that's why I'm changing my wording as I'm saying it, because your subconscious hears what you say, not what you think. So I am creating. I am in the process. No, I am creating. I have created. What am I doing here?
Yes, you have created.
I have created the love of my life and the success that I desire in my life. And
I love it.
In fact, if I go back, I actually, because my coach sat me down and said, like, who are you talking to? And I got super frustrated. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, I'm talking to addicts. And he's like, no, you're not. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking punch this guy. Like, he's pissing me off. And then we dug into it. I finally figured out who I'm talking to. I'm talking to who I used to be. So I'm talking to a negative mindset, broke, addicted, unhappy person. And when I realized who I used to be versus who I am today, I was like, holy shit, look how far I've come. So again, where we were is not what we're focused on anymore if you want to create a better future. Right?
I actually saw this quote from this person and I thought, wow, I mean, I can't deny this. You don't get what you want, you get what you are.
Ooh.
So we have this idea of like where you are now and then where you want to be, right? Which translates to who you are now and who you need to be to get where you want to go. But what you get is what you are.
Okay, so this, I love this. The universe does this to me every single time I turn around. One of the things I just did in my coach's thing is soul marketing, is what he calls it. And one of the things he asks you is, if your client was a fly on the wall or had a video and could watch you in 24/7, would they be inspired by your life? Basically, are you the living embodiment of who you're telling? Oh, here I am, thumbs upping again. Are you the living embodiment of the things that you are telling people they can become? Do you know how awesome it feels to say, fuck yes, I am? I don't have any crutches at the moment. I'm not smoking doobies. I'm not cigarettes. I'm not drinking. I don't do drugs. I am literally the living embodiment of come. That made me feel like next level. So
Yeah.
it was like, wow, when I felt that. So let's get into it, Lynn.
I mean, this is like, where do we even start? You know, if we're looking at a podcast called You Go Where You Look, well, what is it that we're going to focus on here?
Right?
You know, I thought about this.
Okay, so I have an idea. Again, I'm referring to my coach because I just keep learning so many things. He talked about the fact that all of us have, like, say, 3 identities. So usually the identities we associate with are negative. And with each of these identities come patterns. Okay. Within our patterns are our habits. And we have a tendency to be like, I'm going to go in this direction. And then your subconscious goes, okay, I'll go. Okay, no. We're going to go back to our old patterns, our old habits. And we end up back where we were. So he has brought up pattern interrupters. And he likes to do things on, like, him and I, so aligned, I have to tell you, he likes to do things like next level crazy. So he's like, if you're having an anxiety attack in the middle of the grocery store, you need to be like, to break yourself out of the anxiety attack, because now people are going to be looking at you. So one of my clients I'm coaching her. She's an addict. And I told her, if you're having an anxiety attack, I don't even care. I want you to jump up and down. I don't care where you are. Just all of a sudden jump up and down. It'll pull you out of it, because now you're going to be looking around you going, oh my God, I'm in the present moment. And you're not going to have anxiety anymore. So I feel like we should talk about how our old patterns and habits can pull us back into who we used to be and not who we are becoming.
I love that. That's, I mean, like I often refer to that as a trauma response. One of the things that you said that I want to like totally side note, you know, one of my little
Yes.
rants, is you said that you are creating. And in manifestation or law of attraction rules, you know, we still have a basis of science. What
Yes.
I see in this postmodern fucking spiritual etherical world is a lack of like groundedness. It's a lack of like, oh wait, all of these concepts are based on science. Like I think I said this already, but I read a book by Deepak Chopra and his opening quote was, science is the explanation of God by God to the human nervous system. And I mean, that can, right? So that means that like, while we have this overarching idea that we have science and then we have spirituality, what if they're the same thing, right?
Yeah.
When we learn yoga, we learn that yoga is science, is like the science of life. And
Yeah.
we hear things like the chakras and then think about like these energetic swirling vortexes that match the rainbow. And then we can get all like up in the ethers. But the reality is, if we cut the body open, the chakras are not colored, and they're places where plexuses of nerves come together. The enlightened masters that studied live people for life, not dead people, were able to see where there was more energy in the body, aka the chakras. So we can start to see like, oh my God, yoga science. So then when we're talking about creating, we always can go back to the laws of physics. They're the only laws in the world that have not been like proven incorrect, right? And one of those laws is that energy is neither created nor destroyed.
Yes.
This is backed up by so much mythology in yoga. And then even, oh, did I freeze?
Just for a second, yeah.
And then this is backed up by so much mythology and yoga, but also like the Bible. So there's an overarching concept, believe it or not, I'm not trying to convince anyone, right? That the consciousness was kind of floating around, unaware of itself, and then it became aware of itself. So consciousness became conscious of itself. So from there, when it became aware of itself, it also recognized it was floating in like a black void. So it noticed that there was darkness. So it created light. Right? And we can dive into the book of the Genesis. Actually, Meredith's taking yoga teacher training with me right now. If you go into the homework, there's a link to a YouTube video called the Sacred Geometry Movie. And it's on this YouTube channel called Spirit Science. So it talks a lot about sacred geometry and where these ideas come from, but it's also like an overarching concept that it's like, oh shit, this could make sense. And then kind of like explains like many different ideas that have been kind of trickled from an original. So if we look at yoga, yoga has an overarching concept of like these three main gods. We have Brahma, who is the creator. We have Vishnu, who is the sustainer. And then we have Shiva, who is the destroyer. Overall, this is God, right? And God had different like parts to what God was creating. So
personalities per se.
Yeah, kind of. And then levels, which is interesting, but it's all mythology, right? To like explain it so we can understand it. So what we know about Brahma is Brahma shows up on the scene and he does everything. Brahma is consciousness becoming aware of itself and aware that it's in darkness, so creates light, and then does, you know, the 7 days of Genesis, which we know 7 days isn't 24 hours, because how long was it in darkness before light was created?
Yeah.
Right? So these seven on the seventh day rested. I mean, we know now that now there's light. So how long was there light for in our human nervous system understanding? Like 37 million years. We don't know what one day constitutes, but we're like, oh, God made the universe in a week, which is like what 168 hours. Like, come on, this is not right. So if we go back to like manifestation as a rule, Brahma did all of the work in the beginning, and now he's done. He's complete. Now it's just up to Vishnu and Shiva. We've got sustainment, and then we've got transformation or death, so that we can just keep going. But
Evolve.
there's no creating new. We're not creating new worlds. There's this world, and energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's constantly changing. Another law of physics. The only constant in energy is change.
And if you guys like to read, I really encourage you, because what she's talking about is actually all described in the book, Mind into Matter. And it discusses, here's a spiritual theory, and then here's the scientific study that was done behind it to prove it's true. Also,
I read that
a
book
couple
and I
of-
don't even remember that.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. It literally is like, here's one to back it up. Another couple are the E squared, E cubed books. They're a lot more simple, and they teach you how to do your own experiments to prove that the law of attraction works and how it works. So those are some more basic, more simple books. But the other one is fantastic as well. And yeah, I love this because so many people are like, well, I have to have faith. And faith isn't about religion. Faith is about believing in something you can't see. And here's the other piece of faith: fear. Believing in something you can't see.
Right.
But we have a tendency to focus on that fear so hard. Why not take all that fucking energy and put it into believing that it could turn out just the way it's supposed to? Because again, like Lynn said when we started, if you focus on the fear of what could happen if you try, you're never going to accomplish what actually happens. So for me, if I feel what I consider fear, which is also what I consider resistance, the minute I want to say fuck no to something, what's the words that come out of my mouth, Lynn?
Here we
yes,
go.
let's do this. Don't want to. But I've learned that that's like the best way for me to start. As soon as I feel resistance, to me, that means it's something I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like in my business, same thing. Oh, I've come up with this idea. I don't know if I should do it. Well, I'm not going to know if I should do it or not unless I try. And they also, I've read this quote a million times that said, fear ruins more dreams than failure ever will.
Yeah.
So I ain't letting fear ruin anything, and failure doesn't ever ruin it for me. Failure leads me forward into something new.
Well, two deep things. Number one, you're not overwhelmed by what you're doing. You're overwhelmed by what you're not doing. So the fear keeping you from doing anything is increasing the overwhelm. And the last piece in creation is like, creation is complete. It's backed up in yoga. It's backed up in all the religions. We know that creation is complete. Therefore, everything you desire is here now. So you don't have to create $1 million. All you have to do is get it into your reality.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't need to create people to be your clients. You just need to find those people and bring them into your yoga class or into your chair. Maybe does laser quit.
Yep. 1,000%.
Right?
And
so you don't have to create anything.
Yeah. And who's the right fit for those things? You also have to get to a place where being able to say no, like in maybe not so much in a yoga teacher class, but being able to say no to someone who's not an ideal client for me. Some of them I can't because they book themselves online. Okay. But other ones, I need to look, when I'm on the phone with them, if I'm already arguing with them or trying to convince them, they're not the right one for me, because imagine what it's going to be like to work with them now. So now I'm going to be arguing with you that the treatment worked. I mean, that being said, I do enjoy the skeptic but I don't want to argue with you. I want you to tell me, I don't know if this is going to work so I can blow your mind. But I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to convince you that spending your money with me was the smart thing to do so that you can go try to charge back your credit card. I want you to see that you're responsible for what you're doing. And I need people, and the people that I want to work with need to do the work. Because my coach says it to me all the time, I can't create your outcome. I can't fix your problems. I'm here to guide you and support you.
And you have to keep looking. Like, what do you want? That's number one question. What do you want? Okay. Yeah. And then that's where we dive into like where you are and then where you want to be. And then who you are. Now you got to get clear of like, this is where you are. Now, who are you here? And then
who
who
do I
do you
wanna
have to
be?
be to get to where you want to go?
Yes.
Because as I said, you don't get what you want, you get where you are,
Yes.
what you are. So if
Yes.
we keep looking forward, right? And this is what has been coming up around core values and such, is that if we keep looking forward, the core values are what are guiding us
Yes.
to get to the place where we're going, and is
Yes.
defining who and what we are. And that's
As
what
well
we get.
as well as who you want to work with, because your core values are going to align you with the people you want to work with.
Yes.
And like my main core values are like integrity, honesty, hardworking. Like there's these values.
Mine too. Of course they
Well, I'm
are.
so surprised.
Another one is be impeccable with your word and then be real. And Mary,
Oh
I
my
was
God,
running...
of course it is. Mine is authenticity.
I was running yesterday, and I just, it was like everything was aligning for me. You know, you came in June here to Costa Rica.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of like stopped working for 3 months and just like went into a depression, right? Saw that as bad, negative, didn't realize it was actually like my shadows confronting me, and you know, like I'm not going to get out of it until I open up to like seeing what they want to see instead of pushing away from it constantly. But what I realized was like, of course I'm going to be here, because I don't have core values. Like I haven't written them down. I haven't recognized them at all. So clearly they're not guiding me. I have said things like integrity, honesty, all those things. And so when I say integrity, okay, integrity is so important for me, and it's important in the clients that I bring in. But right now, financially, and this was back then, I was struggling. Like I needed to, you know, I wasn't working for 3 months, and that's a significant drop in financial flow. So of course I'm going to take on some extra clients. You know, I was taking on. I mean, she doesn't know specifically names, but she knows that I was taking on some clients that weren't in integrity
and weren't energetically aligned with who you are.
But financially, I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to pay my bills, or I need to have money so that in case something happens, like I was really kind of losing it. So I let my own core values that I wasn't aware of go. I came out of integrity myself to bring in clients that I didn't want to work with.
And we're coming from a place of lack, which is why you were bringing those clients in.
Oh,
so
I was just like,
from a place of lack. Yeah, just we pull the opposite of what we want in when we're focused on the things we don't want.
Literally, and then what was happening? I was getting more and more drained. You know, I do one-on-one retreats for people when they sign up for personal coaching. So they come here to my home for 5 days and 5 nights, and they get yoga and coaching and all these different things. And I've been really drained, like exhausted, which has increased the depression, which is like increased me bringing in more clients that are out of integrity, that don't align. I like that, you know, because it doesn't matter if they're out of integrity. Everybody's out of integrity. You know, that's a concept that a lot of people don't like to hear, but I mean, let's argue about it all day long. I was wholly out of integrity. No wonder I'm exhausted. I'm overwhelmed with all the things I'm not doing, because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff to try to like keep my head above, like my head floating above water. It was just like, boom, holy crap. Of course, core values.
Core values are the foundation. That's so that your walls will stay up when everything else falls down.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I learned when I was doing the franchising side of my business, is they were like, you need to do core values. And I was like, I already know. And they're like, no, you don't. And then understanding that like those are the core of who I am needs to be the core of my business. And then the people I hire. And now I'm also seeing how one of the people that work with me is so not in alignment with me and the things that I do. They're maybe authentic in themselves, but they're not in alignment with what I'm looking for, because they're in a place of lack. So it has come to a place of they're all about money, which means now they're stepping out of integrity to do things that don't align with my business whatsoever. So,
exactly.
So now I'm like, okay, And I'm not coming from a place of lack at the moment. Instead, I'm like, okay, so, and I literally have like a book in front of me where I sat down and wrote some things down, because how do I align with this? I met this woman, and you guys, the alignment between us is so incredible. And I made an offer to her, and she was like, give me some time to think about it. And then I went back to her and said, tell me what we need to do to make this happen, because like, I feel like we could do things, amazing things together. And she gave me her counter offer, and I am going back to her today with another counter offer that I think that works for us both. Because we're so in alignment that I feel like for me to, I don't want to say lose a little bit, because it's not that, but for it to cost me a little more, I'm going to gain so much more. So I'm not coming from a place of lack.
Mhm.
Instead, I'm coming from a place of abundance. I'm coming from a place of, yeah, it's going to cost me more to get the fucking top quality that I'm looking for and that you're looking for when you come to me.
Right. 7 habits of highly effective people. One of the habits is win-win. Always think win-win. So how are you going to win long term? Because you two are in alignment. She's in alignment with your business and your core values. So integrity wise, you'll call in more clients. Maybe not
Yes.
initially, but in the long run. So
Yes.
it is win-win. She gets what she wants. You get what you want. Your
Yes.
ripple effect is so massive. So if you look at like you go where you look, if your core values are always here, then you're going to look to them. You know, if I say like being real is a core value, and then I get on a call with a client, and I mean, it's not even saying that I'd have to say no to the client, but what I would have to be is real and say, listen, what I'm hearing today is not the kind of client that I want to work with. Who I want to work with is this, this, and this, and this. I'm not hearing that from you. And in order for you to work for me, you would have to blah, 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 and blah. And if that didn't happen, that means I fire you with no refund, because that's what the contract says. You know what I mean? Like that would be me being real. And now I would be able to like really give this person the offering. What happened if the one person I'm thinking is then on top of it, because it wasn't real right off the bat, now I continue to not be real and not call out the behaviors and not this and not that. And that was just like a this morning of like,
Yeah.
okay, if I where I am looking is like, ah, shit, I'm looking over there. So this is why I'm going here.
Yeah.
The core values are a reminder. Hey, I thought you were going to go over here.
And that actually brings me to, so I do lives every day on my pages. And last week's lives were all based on setting goals. And then on Wednesday, we actually did aligning your goals with your personal values. And I'm going to just read you guys a couple of the reasons that aligning your personal goals with your morals and values are so important. So to align them, it gives you intrinsic motivation. So we all know motivation is a feeling, which means it comes, it goes. Discipline is what keeps you going. Now, if you align your personal values with the goals that you have, things are going to change. Intrinsic motivation. Goals aligned with personal values tap into intrinsic motivation, which comes from within rather than external sources. So when individuals pursue their goals that resonate with their values, they're more likely to find inherent satisfaction in the process of striving towards those objectives. That's
Can
one
you
of the
give me an example of like a goal being to, you know, whatever, something with you and with one of your goals to change as many lives as possible, you know, through addiction services, and then how one of those values fits within. So just so it makes sense, because it's very like sciencey or professional.
For it to like the alignment of the client, my favorite and the people that I'm looking for are the people who are willing to do the work, which is one of the foundational steps within myself. I have to be willing to do the work. So the people I'm looking for need to be willing to do the work, not come looking for some miracle cure that I'm just going to treat them, they're going to walk away and forget about whatever it was. Instead, they need to understand there's habits, there's like things within ourselves that we need to look at. Our mindset needs to change. It's not just come in, have a treatment, and I'm no longer addicted. You'll go back. So aligning the things that need to be done in order for you to truly become the person you want to be. which is exactly what I'm also doing. I stopped smoking. I started becoming more successful. I started focusing on what it takes within my business to do so. So it all started to kind of align and fall into place. Does that make more sense?
So if the goal is to create more, to support more people in, getting the life that they want through releasing their addictions, right? Am I correct
Addictions.
that that's
Yep.
one of
Yeah.
your goals?
Yep.
Okay. So then the core value that aligns with that is integrity,
Authenticity, integrity, because integrity means staying in alignment with the things that you said you would do.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
What are some of my other doing the work? That is a core value of mine,
Okay.
that you're
Okay.
committed to doing the work.
Okay.
I think I have 6 core values. I've got them all written on my business, and I can intuitively feel when things aren't aligning in those ways.
Right.
Okay. So it also gives you an increased commitment, which commitment is one of my values. Being committed to yourself. I'm not asking you to be committed to anyone else. I want you to be committed to yourself. One of the things with that is a great way to show my level of integrity, my level of commitment, is that I told myself I would do 365 days of lives. I don't know what day I'm at right now, but I started that on June 18th. You guys, I have not missed a single day. There's been times where I'm showing up at 11:59 saying, oh my God, I almost forgot. Here I am. Like, it would wake me up in the middle of the night if I didn't follow through, because if I don't show up for me, I'm not going to fucking show up for anybody else. So it increases my commitment to you by increasing my commitment to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is clarity of purpose. It really defines and helps me realize why I'm here and what I'm here for. Like, my purpose in this world is to help other people change their lives. I'm not here to change their lives. I'm here to support people in changing their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me having my goals aligned with that. This reiterates everything I'm doing. My addictions client literally cried to her husband and said, there's only one person in all the counseling that we've done. There's one person who's helped me through it all, and it's Mary, and I need to keep working with her. And he was like, I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reason, like, when I hear those things, I'm like, this is why I do what I do. This is it.
Yeah.
Because she is changing who she is, but I'm the person who's been able to support her. And I have done the same thing where I've not aligned with people and worked with them, and then all of a sudden found my person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, my current coach is currently my person.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was, you will have more focus and attention on the things that your goals are, because they align so deeply with you. You're not just heading toward the goal of buying a house. You need to look at, again, that 1/4-inch drill bit. I'm going to come back to that story over and over, because why are you buying a house? What is the purpose of it? Because we can rent a house. What do you want to feel? What does buying a house make you feel? The law of attraction is about the things you're feeling, right? It's perpetuated by feelings. It is exacerbated by feelings. And then the last one that I had written down here was a sense of meaning and fulfillment. And it does, like, me helping people fulfill their dreams and hopes of not being addicted to something is what makes me feel full. It makes me feel content. It makes me feel like I am fulfilling my purpose. It all just, like, they're dominoes. They land on the next one that lands on the next one that pushes me forward. I see that smile. Tell me what you're thinking. I love that smile.
I'm just, but do you, because I'm going to call you out, and you said makes me.
Oh, yeah. See, you guys, this is why we're doing a language one.
Hey, so you know what I wrote down, as I'm like, shit, this is one of my core values, is to be impeccable with your word. I do really believe that, like, my word is my bond, and what I say is true. And so I was like, shit, I do have core values. I've just been unaware of them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a thing when someone says, like, something makes them, then they're losing all responsibility for their own actions. And the idea is, like, nothing makes you anything, rather you feel. So take responsibility for your feelings, instead of letting everything external to, like, influence you, which is one of the things I was talking about, external influencing me. Oh shit, I don't have any money, or I need more money, or something like that, or I need to save myself just in case, or whatever that story is. And that's, So what I think is important that I talked about today, I have a kick-ass yogapreneurs, and we were on right before this, and what we were talking about was exactly all of this. And I mean, you and I were really into Tony Robbins for some time. And what he talks about is like values are great, and you will give up your values for your needs. So we need to be aware of what our needs are so that we can align our values with our needs, which is kind of what I'm hearing you say with like goals. But this is like another layer deeper. So as I'm sitting with it, I'm like, how can I make all this? Because I'm bringing together all these different teachings that are saying the same thing. But like, how can we be clear? Because it's like, what are your needs? What are your goals? What are your values? What's your mission statement? What's this? What's that? What's that? And it can be a little bit confusing or overwhelming in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we've got 6 needs by Tony Robbins. He says that, like, let's just say, you know, one of your needs is
It's certainty, uncertainty, significant. There's 5, I think. Certainty,
6.
uncertainty, significance, love, and spirituality. What's the 6th one?
Certainty, uncertainty or variety, significance, connection and love, growth and contribution.
And then spirituality. It's growth and contribution that I seem to have skipped out on. And yet I don't skip out on.
Right.
Because it's
right.
a major piece of my life, right?
So he talks about the fact that, like, you know, we will, let's just say that, and there's no judgment here, and you can bullshit yourself all you want, but let's just say, like, one of your core values is honesty. Okay. And then the need for certainty, the need to stay alive. You have a gun to your head, and someone says, like, if you tell me the truth, you will die. Will you lie? Yeah, because your needs are a little bit more important than your values. So you'll lie to stay alive, right? Let's take it a little bit like less dramatic to like the need for love and connection, to be in relationship, which we can misidentify as love. And, you know, if you cheat on your partner and then you tell them that you cheated, chances are that they could leave you. So this, and let's just say one of your core values is honesty. A lot of the time you'll give up your own core value to stay connected to the need, right? You want to stay in the relationship with that person. You want to stay connected to being in a relationship. Let's say you're going to get thrown in jail. And if you admit that that bag of weed is yours, then you're going to go to jail. And if you don't, you're like, oh, that's weird. No, it was just there or something. And then you're not going to go to jail. What are you going to do? Like, what mountain, what hill are you going to die on? Right? Is it really honesty? Like, will you die to keep that value? And
not just that, but I feel like he also told us, I want you guys to take these 6 core values and write out what's the most important ones to you. And write out what are the most important ones. So typically, regardless, the number 1 for almost all of us is certainty, knowing what's coming next. His opinion then is for you to write out what you think are your next ones. Now, for me, as embarrassing as it may feel, significance is a major factor for me. Uniqueness is what I call it. I like not being like everyone else. I like standing out. I like not being part of the crowd. I like being the black sheep. I'm not sure if that came because of our upbringing, because we both felt that way, even though I want to say we all literally fit together if you really look at us. But I feel like that may have something to do with our upbringing. So look at your upbringing as well when it comes to these things. But significance in being not normal. I'm going to buy, when I go to buy my car, I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to my Jaguar F-Pace because I loved that vehicle. And now I'm driving around my place and I'm like, do you know how many of these cars there are now? So I literally messaged my car friend and was like, help me find something that not everybody has, please. And he's like, why? He's like, you loved that car. I'm like, yeah, well, being unique and standing out is kind of a thing. I'm not gonna lie. And he's like, yeah, of course it is. He's like, have you noticed your hair? And I was like, let's not talk about So really categorize those into what are most important to you. Because as much as people may be like, about my significance being important to me. It just is. Certainty is important to me. Uncertainty is incredibly important to me because I get bored easy. But significance is going to come before that because I want to be different. And then uncertainty. Probably growth and connection is going to, or growth and personal value, like my personal growth is going to be a high one in there too. But if you're going through these, you're going to be like, oh, well, no, maybe that's number one. Oh, well, maybe that's number one. Oh, no, maybe that's number one. I feel like categorizing those things and figuring out what is most important to you is really key in figuring out who you really are.
And don't forget their needs. Like all 6 of them are needs that every single human needs.
Yes.
Without you being aware. So if you can align your core values and your goals to be connected to your needs, then again, you'll have more intrinsic motivation and growth as opposed to outside, because you know that by supporting people in changing their lives and creating the life that they want to create connects you to people, right? Like you just said that that's one of the reasons that you do what you do. If we look at the fact that you have multiple franchises in multiple places around the world now, we can see that that is a part of growth. That's a part of service, right? That's a part of uncertainty and certainty. And it's also like all of the needs are kind of hitting there.
All of them are, all of them are.
If you can see that and it just stays up in the air and you're not aware, then you'll lie instead of dying. But if you remember, like, this is going back to yogi. If you remember who you truly are and you are God and you are like not your body, and then someone's going to kill the body, and you know, it's that much of a value that you will die on that hill because you know that you are going to be reincarnated. Like, I know that's going to the extreme, but it's like lots of people say, oh, I'll never lie. And then you're in a situation in which it's like, you're going to lie instead of not
lying by
lying.
omission. Still lying.
Yes.
Right.
So
not,
just
that's
be aware.
You can't say, I never lie.
Be aware so that you can then align your values, your goals, and your needs instead of being unaware and doing things and saying that being real, let's just talk about me. I'm going to own this, that being real is very important to me. And I say it all the time. I even have shown up in a lot of my coaching, like very honestly, which is scary because sometimes, you know, yeah, sure, I've made $60,000 a month. Yeah, sure, I've made $3,000 a month. To show up as a business coach and say, oh, I made $3,000 that month or whatever, that doesn't feel, should I be real?
Imposter syndrome.
No, I'm saying that I've been real in those situations, but the places where I haven't been real are the shadow places where I took on a client and I wasn't real with her right off the bat. And then I continued to not be real. And I wasn't honest. So there's 2 of my values which then impeccable with my word. Like, oh shit, I lost it all on that one client. It makes so much sense why I would be where I was in that time, burnt out, exhausted, literally saying, I just fucking hate people and I don't want to do this anymore. But like, it wasn't her fault. It was mine. Without like assigning a bunch of blame, is just taking responsibility. You go where you look, and I wasn't, I was misguided. I stopped looking at what was important. And something squirrel got my attention. I looked over there.
Yep. I feel that. I feel that. That's, for me, authenticity is number 1 in my core values because love me or hate me, I am who I am. And in the end, my goal is never that I'm hurting someone because of who I am, but I'm not going to be less because you can't handle how much I am.
Right. And
I'm okay with that. That's part of what makes me me. That's part of why I think I'm awesome. And call me what you want. Tell me that I'm conceited. Tell me whatever you want. I do think that I'm awesome because I've done all the work to be awesome.
Right. And, we've talked about this so many times, back to yogic philosophy. Like, who are you? You're not your body. You're not your name. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. Who are you? You're God. Would you ever say God's a piece of shit? I don't know.
God is awesome.
Right? So there you go. Like, if you're a part of that, you're a part of consciousness, you're a part of evolution. And that one little drop from the ocean, would you say the ocean is a piece of shit? No. Is
Right?
the ocean dirty? No. Is the pollution within the ocean dirty? Yeah.
Yes.
So you can think of your thoughts like the pollution, but you're the ocean, right?
Yes.
Stop
I
shit
love that.
talking yourself. Stop saying things about yourself like you're not that. Like you aren't. You are awesome. Like you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And you need to recognize that. Who gives a fuck if anybody else recognizes that or not?
Yes.
And then people are afraid to admit, yes, we need to stay humble. We do. Otherwise, we go too far on the other end of the spectrum, which is a pendulum, which sometimes we need to go too far to be humbled right back.
Yes. Yeah. I feel that on so many levels because that's part of also being authentic is I'm not going to bullshit you and pretend I don't like myself. I've done a lot of work to be myself.
Why would anybody say something shitty about you liking yourself anyways? Oh, wow, you're so conceited that you like yourself. Let's just dissect that, Merity.
Because they don't like themselves enough. And that makes me threatening because I actually do like myself.
I got to knock you down a bunch of notches so that you can come down here and meet me where I hate myself. I'm stuck in a dead end job. And what you're doing right now by showing up in front of me as this bright light is like, ugh.
I'm showing you all your shadows by showing you your light. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Every time I see those memes that are like, healers come here not to make you happy, but to trigger the shit out of your stuff. That's why I trigger you. I am here to be a healer. And I've heard it for 10, 13 years working with Laser Quit, where people are like, you know what? As much as I appreciate the laser treatments and I see what they're doing to my body, you're the healer here. Your laser is your tool. Because I do, and I feel like because I know I'm God, I allow myself to feel the intuition come in. I hear these hits from the universe and I just start spewing them at people. Half the time, I don't even know where the hell they came from. And I say something and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because that wasn't even me. Like, you needed that. And then they're like, but I needed that question. And I'm like, yeah, clearly you did. And I'm not sorry that I said it out loud. Yeah. I know it can maybe even feel offensive, but no, I'm coming from a place of love. I'm only asking this question because it's going to help you grow. I just had a very deep conversation with a friend of mine who's in a relationship and he's not sure what he's doing. And this person, I have never seen him ever really be insecure in who he is because he just is this incredible human, the most amazing dad. Like, he's this amazing human. And then he started questioning himself within this relationship. And I was like, I've never seen you like this. And then all of a sudden these questions started coming in at me. And I was like, I have some questions. And we were all in text. And he literally was like, okay, go ahead. And I was like, oh, you just gave me hardcore permission. Here I go. And I started asking all these questions. And I was like, even afterwards, I said, just so you know, none of these questions I'm asking for my own benefit. And you don't even need to answer them. My questions are for you to ask yourself so you can figure out what you're doing within this, because I have never seen this side of you and I've known you for 15 years. So the fact that this is bringing this out in you, I really would encourage you to ask yourself why you're staying within it. And a piece that service for him that he's like, now you're going to make me say it. And I was like, I'm not going to make you do anything. He was like, I feel like a failure. And I was like, ooh, that hurts, doesn't it? And it was because he said, like, I feel like I haven't been able to have and hold down a relationship. They've all been short term. And I was like, but something that Lynn said to me a long time ago, and this will live with me forever, is you always hear that thing, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I don't have a ton of people who have come into my life for a lifetime. And I was feeling really down about that because Lynn has friends, high school friends that she was best friends with for 20, 30 years. And I was like, I don't have that. And she was like, yeah, but people don't necessarily like what you have to say. And I was like, okay, so should I change that? And she was like, fuck no. She's like, people come into your life for a reason and a season. and you're here to change people, and you're here as a disruptor. So this is your purpose. Keep doing your purpose. And that really like hit me hard in a sense that I don't need to change who I am, because this is my purpose. I am here as a disruptor. I'm here to stir shit up in you. And a lot of these people, I'll stir it up in them, and then, yeah, they might disappear, but more often than not, they'll swoop back in and just be like, hey, I just wanted to thank you. And even if they do disappear again, it's like that reminder that even though they ran from me because my energy says rise up, because I'm always trying to be better, I don't expect anyone else to be, but my energy says rise up. And when you don't want to rise up, you can't be around me.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
So
that. I feel like this is such a perfect place to end. Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to do this. It's so fantastic.
Yeah. We're like, oh, and we're done.
Yep. And then it came to an end.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to thank everyone for being here as well. And please ask more questions. Check us out, Spotify, kind of like every podcast thing there is. And apparently, as per the beginning of this, 87 different Facebook pages.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this spirited journey today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of self-improvement with us. Two sisters who found their own unique paths.
Remember, life is a tapestry of experiences, and it's how we embrace them that makes all the difference.
So whether you're on your yoga mat, exploring mindfulness, or simply navigating life's twists and turns, always keep that spirit and sass alive.
We are Colin and Nerdy Lockoff, and we're here to remind you that happiness and abundance are within reach.
Stay connected with us on social media and keep those questions and stories coming. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, beautiful souls, keep doing the work, keep sharing your experiences, and keep living a life that's authentically you.
And never forget to add a little extra sass to your day.
Spirit and sass, always.
Oh.